Hi, welcome to another episode of Life Changers, and this is Mike. So, welcome back, everybody, and I just want to say I love everybody. I love you guys. Thanks for all our listeners. Let's make this podcast go viral. Let's spread it around. Let's let everybody know who we're about, and we're changing lives. And if anybody has questions, please feel free. If you're listening to it as a podcast anywhere, you can send us a quick email at lifechangersmike@gmail.com. That's lifechangersmike@gmail.com. And we can get back to you and, let you know what's going on, or if you have anything you want us to talk about, any questions or anything like that. But let's get to the meat of the bone. Meat of the bone? Bone of the meat? I don't know. As you can tell, I'm alone in the studio. But today, I want to talk about love. And I mean, what does love have to do with it? Everything. Because a lot of popular questions everybody asks about when it comes to law of attraction is how to manifest money, wealth, and all that. And I talked about that a lot, but love. And I haven't really talked about that too much. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my journey trying to find love. And, going through life and thinking you found love, thinking you understand what love is. But you really don't know until you know. Oh. But like a lot of you are thinking like, okay, I want to manifest my love. Tell me how to do it. I already did tell you how to do all that kind of stuff. Is you got to stop forcing it. Stop chasing love and let love come to you. Find the frequency of love. And in order to do that, you have to love yourself and start loving those around you. And just love everybody and love everything. And just know and, step into the reality, right, that you have where you already found love and act like it. And step into it and stop chasing it and let it flow to you. Because like I mentioned many times in different podcasts, when I was younger, I would be chasing money, chasing business, chasing love, chasing this, chase. And that's all it seems like we do here in this world is just chase. But the moment you stop chasing, everything just comes to you. And I'm sure a lot of people listening right now going, okay, I found love. Well, you still listen because it's not just about trying to find it. It's about keeping it and letting it grow and grow beyond your wildest dreams and imaginations. Because when you think you find something or you try to control something, you just realize that there's so much more out there. And the saying is true. It sounds crazy. But if you love something, let it go. And if it comes back, it's true love. But it really is true that if you just let it go. Let love go. Let love just be love and just flow and just absorb it as it comes your way. And, in my younger years when I was trying to find love, right? I'm like, I need a girlfriend or I need to find a wife. So I start going around looking for people. Yeah, let's go on a date. And just, not letting love just flow and just be like forcing it. And it never came my way. Until one faithful day when I stopped chasing love. Me and my buddy actually, it was like, hey, let's just go move to Alberta. Let's go out west from the east. When we lived in Quebec growing up, and I'm like, let's just go out west. As we say in French, on y va, let's go. C'est la vie, mon ami. But no, it's true. So we're like, let's just, whatever. Like I was done. I had, it was funny because I thought I knew what love was. So let's just get into it. Let's get into instead of me rambling here and get through the timeline of love and my journey through finding love and everlasting happiness. But only through when I figured out the law of attraction and I started letting things just happen the way it needs to happen and just let it flow and let love go, how much love came back. And I'm going to tell you, one of the keys to success in law of attraction is love. Just loving everything. Just love the world. As you start becoming more like spiritual or more grounded with the universe and with the world, or, whatever you want to call it, then yeah, just love everything, and just your heart just blows open, and you're looking around like, wow, it's such a beautiful day. Wow, I've never seen the sky, the trees are so beautiful. It's normal, trust me. When that starts happening, don't think you're like, what's going on? Am I having a seizure? No. Okay? You are finding love, and you're seeing love everywhere, and you're finding the frequency of love, and just loving everything, and just loving life, and how amazing life really is. And that's my goal. With all my podcasts, with all my fun, joking around, interviewing people, it's just I want us to find love. And find what we desire, and just happiness and joy. Like, it's amazing when you see how amazing the world really is. Get your face out of the phones. Get your face out of the TVs, out of the Instagram, the Facebooks, and all that stuff. Limit yourself and enjoy how beautiful this world really is and what it has to offer. It's funny because when we're watching TV shows or game shows, or we're watching a show about love, how excited we are for that person finding love. And yet you're like, but I haven't found it yet. Where's my love? And we're always comparing ourselves to everybody around us instead of just comparing ourselves to ourselves. Who cares? Who cares what you see around you and on the outside? It's what you broadcast into the world and into this universe is what matters. What you believe, what you see, what you understand, and how you see the things. And if you start seeing the world through the eyes of love, how much amazing this world will seem and more beautiful. And if you stop chasing and just let it happen, wow. And trust me, okay? I try so hard manifesting millions of dollars so I can change the world and do good and take care of people and do all sorts of amazing stuff. But I just got to stop chasing it and stop trying so hard. You know, and when you think like, I found it, I figured it out, you know, and then you realize this is the tip of the iceberg. So let's get into love, okay? So as some of my listeners may know, I grew up in in a Christian household in Quebec, Canada. For all those who, and I do speak French. I guess I kind of grew up bilingual. I would say my first words was English, French. So I spoke French first. But I kind of grew up bilingual because my parents would speak French to us and speak English to us and stuff like that. But yes. I speak the language of love. Oui, oui. Oh, 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 mon amour. So, and at a young age, you're like, you got to get married, have kids, multiply and replenish the earth. So, I guess that was kind of programmed into me from my parents and, the Christian church I was going to growing up. But I remember, I was talking to my leader in the church, and he was like, Mike, you don't need to have a girlfriend one-on-one because you don't know what you want. So you should date around until you figure out what you want. My scientific side of me is like, that's true. That makes sense. You don't know what you want. You think you know what you want. And a lot of people say oh, well, I need this, I want this. But when you actually have it, you're like, yeah, I didn't really need it. I didn't really want it. Moving on. So I started, dating around, as they say, going on dates with people. I wasn't a player or nothing. I'd just be like, hey, Samantha, you want to go on a date? Hey, so-and-so, you want to go on a date? And I'll go on dates with them and hang out with them. And then I'll either ask them on another one if I liked what some of the attributes they had, and try to figure out what my, start chasing my perfect wife, and start pushing, and to the point where I was actually engaged at 18 years old. I believe I was 18 years old, 19 years old. I got engaged to a girl, and because I was just forcing it, oh, this is love, right? When you think. It was funny because, when I was younger, the first time a girl held my hand, and I was like, oh, she loves me, right? Well, we locked hands together, our fingers and our hands got locked together. I was like, oh, this is love, right? And you're like, I'll do anything for you. This is real love. This is true, right? And you see it in all us media, right? Movies, TV shows, what people do for love, right? They'll do anything. But yeah, and so then when I found a girl that liked hanging out with me a lot, and I met her parents and we hung out, everybody liked me, and then I was like, well, what's the next stage of love? If this is love, this is it. So I proposed to her. And I was like, this is amazing. This is love, right? She said yes, and all that fun stuff. And I was like, well, we're getting married. And we're just hanging out. And we're like, this is love, right? And we've only been dating for like a few months. Oh, the reason why I'm laughing so hard is not because, that I was engaged to this person before, but it's because what I know now just makes me go, oh, if I can go back in time. But you can. We'll get to that. You could effectively change the past according to quantum physics. Just a fun fact in one of our other episodes coming up. But anyways. And I was just like, yeah, this is it, right? And even though I felt after a while like, oh, no, I don't like her that much. I don't want to be with her for, ever. But I was like, oh, this is love. This is it, right? I have to work hard to have love and to find everlasting happiness, right? Because that's what you're told, right? Everything's hard to get. Nothing's easy. But it can be if you want it to be. It's all about your perspective and how you see the world. And even though I didn't feel it, but thank goodness for self-sabotage, because I started self-sabotaging myself and she ended up breaking up with me. And I was like, yes. So if by chance you're listening to this podcast, you know who I am, and you're like, hey, I know this. I was the one to get, what? He was happy? Well, it's true, because like she was like, you're not going to cry or nothing? I was like, actually, why? Like, I'm kind of, happy because I couldn't do it. I didn't want to go through with it either. She got mad at me. And here's the sad part. Well, not the sad part, but a really funny part. I was going to her parents' house that day for dinner with her family, and they're going to have like lasagna because they know I like lasagna. So homemade fresh lasagna. I was like, oh. I was more upset when I got to their house and there was no lasagna for me. Because they're like, are you sad? And it was kind of funny because they're like, you dodged a bullet. They were telling me this, like, you dodged a bullet. You didn't want to marry her. She's crazy. You should have married her as a daughter. She's more normal. It was hilarious. But they're like, are you upset? I was like, yeah, I'm upset. And they're like, oh, it's okay. I'm like, no, not about your daughter breaking up with me. I'm more upset that there's no lasagna. I sound like a total asshole, but no, you have to have been there. If I could totally just watch my life as a video, I would show it to you guys. You would understand and be laughing with me. You'd be like, this is funny. But anyways, so I was like, I guess that wasn't love. So then I was just like, whatever, I gave up. And I started just dating around. And then I started dating this girl. And like, I lived in Montreal, Quebec, and she lived in Ottawa, Ontario, which is like 2.5 hours away from where I lived. And, I'd always go out of my way to make sure I go see her, go on dates with this new girl. And she would never like do anything for me, like go out of her way to come visit me or go out of her way. Or, she was basically like, oh, sorry, I'm busy. I'm hanging out with my friends. I can't go on a date with you today. So I like did everything around her schedule. So I'm like, I guess this isn't love because there's no compromise. And then I was just pushing. And I was just like, at that point, just like everybody is at that point, at one point or another in their life, with either love, going, I'll never find it. I give up. Who cares? I'm done. Or with like work, I'm trying to find the best job. And you just finally give up. And you're like, who cares? I don't care anymore. Just give up. And then I was talking to my buddy. I'm like, dude, let's just go move. Let's go to Alberta. I said, my parents just moved out there a few years ago, so let's go over there, hang out with them. And when I went with my parents and visited Alberta and all that, I met these families, and they had some cute girls. I was like, maybe I can go on dates. But I didn't care about trying to find love or trying to find a wife or anything like that. I was just giving up. I'm done, right? And my buddy and I were like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go to Alberta. Let's go work in the, the oil fields or the whatever, right? And make all this oil money and stuff. And who cares about, finding a wife or a girlfriend or whatever. It'll just happen. Who cares? Stop forcing it. Stop chasing, because when you're chasing, people are running away. If you start chasing somebody, they're running. They're like, why the hell are you chasing me? So just think of it that way. It's common sense. I know there's not much common sense anymore in the world, but just come on. It's common sense. Stop running after random people, and maybe they'll stop running away. Start running after somebody. I'm chasing you down to talk to you about your extended warranty. I just had to put that in there. But anyways, so yeah, I just gave up. I didn't care. And on another note, over the years, I had a buddy of mine, another friend, and he was always trying to find girls to date and all that. And I said, hey, because I drove a car and I owned a car at 16 years old, right? So I told him when we were younger, I said, hey, if you find a date with somebody who's willing to go on a date with you, and they have a hot friend, I get the hot friend. I said, and I'm more than happy to drive you. Within an hour or two radius, give or take. But whatever, I'll drive you as long as they have a hot friend. And he's like, okay. Anyways, so now we fast forward a couple of years. We were at like a dance, at like a church dance or something. And like we were like 18, 19 years old. And then he's like, hey, just letting you know, a girl I've been talking to is coming to visit me. And we're like, oh, okay, buddy. We kind of joke around and make fun of him or something. Like, yeah, sure, she's real. They might be getting catfished by some dude, and he's going to come see me here. And crap. And anyways, he's like, no, she's coming to the church at the dance. So anyway, so he finally comes and goes, hey, this is her. And we're like, you are real. She's just like, okay, you are right. Your friends are weird. I'm like, cool. And then she was like, oh, this is my sister, my younger sister, and I was like, hey, how's it going? And I had my other friend with me. I'm like, hey, this is my buddy, or I was hanging out and, went to the dance, hung out, danced. And usually after like the dances and stuff, people are like, hey, Mike, where are we going? And like we had friends like that's, French side, English side, because it's pretty cool. Like there was a multi-language church unit. There's like English speaking people, Spanish, Mandarin, and French, and so on. But yeah, and like most of us were bilingual or trilingual, so we all start speaking and hanging out with each other. But anyways, they're like, Mike, what are we doing? So sometimes we went bowling, sometimes we went to the movies, sometimes we went karaoke, we went to restaurants, whatever, right? So I was like, oh. And I look over at my buddy, and I'm like, hey, everybody, let's go to my house. My house in the middle of the street. Okay. So I was like, let's go to my house and hang out. I got a pool. I said the house is kind of under renovations, like the kitchen and stuff, but, we still have access to the swimming pool, and we'll still have access to, like, hanging out and watch movies or just hang out and talk, right? So we're like, hey, buddy, bring your girlfriend. She's like, I'll bring my sister. I'm like, yeah. And then a couple other guys came, and me and another buddy of mine were all hanging out. So we all drove into 2-3 different vehicles to my house, which was probably about, like, 40 minutes away from where we were. And then, of course, like, my buddy with his girlfriend came, the sister came, and she sat in the front with me, and then we're just hanging out and talking. And I'm just being a nice guy, because I give up on love. I'm like, I don't give a crap. I'm done. So I was just being the nice guy. Like, even at the dance, I danced with everybody. I don't care. I just wanted to dance. Girls asked me, hey, you want to dance? Or, hey, I don't want to dance. We just hung out and danced, and I just wanted everybody. And this was honestly my goal, okay? Like, maybe on the outside, people are like, player, you're a player. You're a douche. But I was just like, I wanted everybody to feel happy and special and important, right? So like even people that weren't being asked to dance, I'll be like, hey, you want to dance with me? Like, what? Why you want to dance? I'm like, why not? And have a good time with them. And I didn't think I was like a really hot guy or good looking guy or whatever, but a lot of girls found me cute and attractive, and maybe I was pretty good looking when I was younger, not now. Anyways, so yeah. So I just wanted people to feel happy and loved, like, and just feel special, because I want to feel special. I started at a young age going, I'm going to talk to people and, stuff like that the way I want to be treated. I'm going to treat them the way I want to be treated, because if I want to be treated and feel like special or important or cool, then I want people to feel special, important, and cool, because I want to feel that way. And that's just the best way to live, I find. At least it worked for me. So anyway, so we're just hanging out, and then her little sister hang out with me. She was like 18 at the time or something. So about, and how old was I? Yeah, so I wasn't engaged. We broke up. So I'm about 21 years old. She was like 18, or I'm 22, something like that. So she was like 3-4 years younger than me. And anyway, so we're just hanging out, all talking, and then, I'm like, so how did you meet my, so-and-so? And she's like, oh, it's actually pretty weird. It was through a friend who says, hey, you should talk to this guy, because this guy has a friend in Montreal, Quebec. And these people are from Toronto. So it's a pretty far drive. Anyway, so then she's like, oh, okay. And then they started talking to each other, and it clicked, I guess, right? And I was like, oh, cool. And, just making everybody have a fun time. So Will went to my house. I'm like, swimming, Will went swimming in the pool, hung out, watched a movie, thought nothing of it. And then, they all left. And then I stayed home because it was my house. And my other buddy stayed with me because he lived with me at the time. And I was like, that was fun. And he's like, yeah. I'm like, did you think she was cute? Because the other girl, the sister, was more his age. Because he's like 3-4 years younger than me. And I'm like, hey, was that fun? He's like, yeah. I'm like, do you find her cute? You want to go on a date with her? I can make a phone call. He's like, no, I'm good. We're going to Alberta. I'm like, yeah, Alberta. So didn't think nothing of it. And then, a few months later, my buddy was like, hey, remember a few years ago, you said you'll take me anywhere as long as there's a hot friend for you to date? I'm like, yeah. He goes, remember my girlfriend you just met, a few months ago at the dance? I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, she has a hot friend. I was like, oh, she better be hot. And he's like, yeah. I was like, okay. I was like, when do we want to go? He's like, we go on the weekend, stay, go Saturday, leave Saturday morning early because it's a 6-hour drive. And then we'll meet up with the girls for the day. We'll go to Canada's Wonderland, sleep over, stay wherever, He's like, maybe we could stay at my girlfriend's house. I'm like, yeah, cool. And he's like, yeah, then we could sleep over and then go on some more dates and drive home for Sunday night. I was like, okay, sounds good. So we're driving, we're just hanging out, talking for the 6-7 hour drive there. And then we pull up in front of his girlfriend's house, and he's like, and then I look and I see, I'm like, oh, it's not your girlfriend's younger sister? He's like, yeah. I'm like, cool, why is she standing outside? Well, I didn't want to tell you this, but she's your date. I'm like, what? You told me. And don't get me wrong, she's a good-looking girl, but 3-4 years younger than me. I was like, I want somebody more my age. I'm 21, 22, and she's 18. And I was like, what the hell? He's like, if I told you wouldn't have brought me. I'm like, yeah, I wouldn't have. And I was like, whatever, I'll go on a date with this girl. For, whatever. I'm here. I drove 7 hours. Disappointed, but it sounds so mean, but I'm not mean. And she was the same thing. So we hung out for a few hours before, because we had to wait for his girlfriend to finish working. So it was 2 hours. So we just went to a park, hung out and talked. And I'm just talking to her sister. And I'm like, hey, she's just being rude to me. And I'm like, I don't want to be here any more than you do. She's like, good, then just go home. And she's like, I don't want to go on a date with you, but my sister forced me to, so you would drive her boyfriend here. And I'm like, well, I got conned into it. I'm like, but you can pretend to be nice, whatever. We're going to be going on these dates. We're going to go to a restaurant. We're going to go to Canada's Wonderland in Toronto. We're going to, hang out. So I'm sorry, but let's make the best out of this bad situation, right? She's like, fine. And I didn't care about her. Not about her. I just was done looking for love. I was done looking for anything. I was like, whatever, I'm going to Alberta soon. And then we went through the date and hung out, and I made her feel special, and she was trying to be nice to me and stuff. And then we went home, and I was being on the next day, and I was being mean to my buddy. I'm like, next time you better make sure it's one of her hot friends, not her, blah 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 blah, right? And then didn't think nothing of it. Then a month later, she calls me. She's like, hey, how's it going, Mike? I'm like, hey. She's like, my sister told me to call you. Because, the guy was my best friend. And he's dating her sister. And she's like, my sister told me to call you because your friend told her, that it's your birthday. So happy birthday. And I'm like, okay, thank you. And we would talk sometimes just as friends. We became friends, right? But I wasn't interested in dating her because I'm going to Alberta. I'm not connecting with nobody. I'm done. And then a few months go by, and then I get a phone call from another friend of mine who lives in Utah, and he was getting married. He's like, hey, do you want to come to my wedding? I'm getting married, buddy. And I was like, cool. So I was looking for flights, like cheap flights, because, I was working and stuff, and I had one of my businesses at the time, but I wasn't, as you know, if you follow the podcast, I wasn't dedicated to my business. It was like contract basis, and I had contracts. I didn't have contracts, but I always had a real job on the side, stuff like that. But anyways, and I was like, yeah, I'll look. And I guess the cheapest flight was from Toronto to Las Vegas, and then there's a bus I could take that takes me into Utah, and that was the cheapest way. And I was like, that's cool. But parking at the airport in Toronto is expensive, really expensive. I was like, hey, so I called my buddy. I'm like, hey, your girlfriend, how far, is there buses or trains that take me to the airport in Toronto from her house? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, can I, okay, I'm going to call. So I call. I'm like, hey, it's Mike. Can I speak to so-and-so? And they're like, okay. And then, hey, your friend's calling. I'm like, hey, I'm going to be in town going to the airport in Toronto because I got to go to a wedding in Utah. And my buddy and his mom and his dad were so intent on setting me up with somebody, so I would like fall in love and stay in Utah and hang out with them because we still it's a long story, but maybe I'll talk about that later in another episode. But I might have mentioned it a few times, but they were people that moved. They lived in Montreal for a while, and I lived with them for a bit, and because I was best friends with their son. Anyways, so I was like, hey, is that cool? I'm like, maybe we can hang out, and then, I'll leave my car in the driveway and take the bus to the airport because I'm not paying for parking. And she's like, yeah, whatever. I'll talk to my parents. And, yeah, that's okay. I'm like, okay, I'm coming. So I said what day I was coming. I drove down. So we hung out, and we just went for a walk and just hung out. And then, I don't know, we just started talking, and then she was like, you're a lot more cooler than I thought. And I'm like, I appreciate that. And I'm like, you're pretty cool yourself. So I was like, yeah, that's pretty cool. We hung out and just talked for like hours. And I'm like, well, I said, when I come back, I'll see you for a little bit before I drive home. Like, we could hang out and talk. And like, we're becoming good friends now, right? And she's like, yeah. So then I got on the plane, flew to Las Vegas. Woohoo! And then it was a 6-hour wait for the bus to take me into Utah. And then I get there. And then my buddy was going to drive an hour to pick me up, but he was running late. Anyways, digress. So I was pretty much hanging out in Utah. And we did all this fun stuff. There's things called like Zion's Canyons we went to. There's things called the Narrows I went to, walking and stuff. And I was hanging out with my buddy's parents because my buddy was just getting ready for the wedding. So we hung out a little bit, but he was stressed with the wedding and stuff. And then I was hanging out with his dad. And his dad's just like, hey, is there anybody, any girlfriends or anything, any love going on for yourself? And I was like, not really. I don't care. I want to move maybe to Alberta and whatever. I'm just giving up on, chasing love and stuff. He's like, oh, that's okay. And, while I was in Utah, like at the different, like at the wedding and stuff, there's all these people. My friends are like, hey, meet this girl. She's cute. Meet this girl. Meet this girl. Like, she thinks you're cute. But, I was just like, cool, hanging out, dancing, talking to people. But it just, I don't know, just none of them did anything. And then I was just sitting there, like, at the house, just at my buddy's house, because I stayed there for a good week or so. And then he got married. I'm not hanging out with him. Then I was hanging out with his parents at his parents' house. And I was just like, and then his mom's like, is there anybody in your life that you like? I'm like, no, not really, But I just felt like I wanted to go home and hang out with this girl again in Toronto. So I called her and I was like, hey, it's Mike. She's like, oh, hey, having fun in, Utah at the wedding and stuff. I'm like, yeah, it's pretty fun. It's pretty cool. Saw Las Vegas. It was really cool. When you land in Las Vegas, you can see the strip hills at night and you can see it all lit up. It's pretty cool. And, flying over the desert, I was like, oh, it's really dark. Driving through the desert all the way to Utah was pretty fun. I was just like, yeah, it's pretty good time. But I was like, hey, I got a question. I was like, would you mind if I if I fly back to Toronto a day early and hang out with you so we can hang out a little bit before I have to go home the next day to work? and for contracts and stuff. And she's like, oh, yeah, that'd be all right. You don't want to stay there? I'm like, well, no, it's, he's gotten married. I'm hanging out with his parents. Everybody's busy. So I'll just fly back a day early if that works for you, if I can change the flight. So I called the airline, and yeah, it turned out I could change the flight. It was actually cheaper, and they gave me money back and stuff like that. So whatever. I was just like, yeah, just going with the flow, right? Just surrendering, going with the flow. So I flew back. And then, I got back to the house. I took the bus from the airport back to the house, and she was in university at the time. So she came back home from university. And I was like, hey. And we're just hanging out and talking. And we went for a walk, and we're just talking. And then something magical happened. Call it whatever you want, right? At the time, we were both in the same Christian religion, like, and stuff like that, as we grew up with the similar backgrounds and stuff like that. And at the time, I was like, oh, this is the way. But like, we were walking and talking, and then she said something. And it was as if time stopped, okay? And I was like, oh. And I was watching, me and her, as if I was pulled out of my body and watching us and talking and interacting with each other. And then just time froze. And then it was as if I went back. And I remember it, clearly. A few years earlier, when I was just like, I'm giving up, on love and all that, I had this dream. And I was just like, I don't know, floating around in space, like in like a dark world or whatever, and whatnot. And then I was just like, what's, why? I'm like complaining, I guess, to the universe or to God or whatever. Just like, why? How come I can't find love? How come I can't find a minute for me happy? Blah, 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 blah. And then there's a voice. And it was a female voice, and she was like, hey, when we meet, there's going to be a certain phrase, okay? And she'll be like, it'll be this situation, and it was as if, I'm in this dark space. This is 2 years earlier, and it shows me, like, a scenery and, like, the back of a girl that I was like, talking to, and I'm in front, and I could see myself talking to her, and then she was talking to me, and then she said this phrase. It's like, when that happens, you'll remember and know. And I was like, weird dreams. I was like, this is a weird dream. Thought nothing of it. I was like, whatever, right? 2 years, we fast forward 2 years now. And then it all just like, whoo. She said this phrase, time stopped. I pulled out of my body, and I'm looking at the exact same angle where I was in this dream 2 years prior. And she said the phrase, and everything just like, and I just saw, like, I can't explain. It's just a big rush of information flowing to me, like downloading from the universe. And then I was like, holy smokes. And then I got thrown back into my body, and then she's like, Mike? And I was like, whoa. She's like, what's up? I'm like, And I'm just thinking, like, I need to be with this person. I need to be with you. There's something here. And I'm like tripping out, like, I don't know what the hell just happened, and I'm freaking out and stuff. And I was like, I need to be with you. I need to be with you. And she was kind of like, I was like, no, you have no idea. I was just like, you gotta understand. She was smart. She would have ran. But like, I was like, you're wearing the exact same outfit you were when he came to me in a dream 2 years ago, and da-da-da-da. And this is what you're telling me, and this is what you said. And like, we need to be together. And everything just makes sense. And you got to understand, okay? I wasn't into this girl. It's not like, I was like, oh, wow, love at first sight, right? It was no. I was just like, hey, what up? How's it going? I'm Mike. Nice to meet you. Whatever. And just hanging out with her and stuff. Like, our first date didn't go well. It was a blind date, and she was being mean to me, and I was just like, just pretend you like me. Because everybody likes Mike. But I don't know. It was just, I was like, this is it. This is what love is. This is love. This is what I've been prepared for, right? And we're we finished hanging out and stuff, and like that night we're hanging out, we're looking like up at the stars, and we see a little bit of the northern lights, and and then I was just like, hey, it's kind of, you want to be my girlfriend? She's like, oh, okay. She's like, yeah, like, sure, I'll be your girlfriend. I'm like, oh, right. And then we became girlfriend, boyfriend. Even though shortly after she tried to break up, she's like, maybe we shouldn't like date. Like, I don't know, it's kind of weird. Your friend's dating my sister. And I'm like, no, we need to be together. I saw a vision. We have to be together. But it was weird because like I never felt that kind of love before. I'm like we're going to have a different kind of love. So you got to understand, growing up the way I did, I thought love equaled lust. So if a girl would be like, oh, start kissing me or, holding me or let me, whatever, I was like, oh, lust equals love. Because, my hormones going crazy. And the religion I grew up in, you're not having sex before marriage or anything like that, right? It's, you wait till you get married, right? That's the religion. That's how I grew up. That's, what I was instilled, right? So I waited till I got married. But I was like, I need to be using, all this like hormones and stuff. And I'm like, I just lusting everybody in the world. And I used to think lust was love. But it's not, right? If a girl kissed me, I'm like, she loves me. If she holds my hand, I'm like, she loves me. If anybody shows me any kind of like attention, I'm like, she loves me. I'm just freaking out. Everybody loves me, right? And people are showing me attention. They must love me, right? And I was so confused what love was. And I always thought I knew what love was. I was like, this is love. This is love. And then, I got engaged. I was like, this is love. And then I was like, oh, this is love. Or this is love. But so at this moment, I'm like, this is what love is, right? I can't love somebody any more than I love you. And it was, we dated for like, I don't know, 8 months to a year. And then we got married. And she was like 19. I'm 22. We got married young. And stuff like that. And then I was like, this is love, and I'm like, every day looking at it, like, oh, this is love. And yeah, I never ever lived with like a girlfriend before because you're not allowed to do that. In the religion I grew up in, it was like, oh no, you can only live with, somebody of the opposite sex when you get married. So anyway, so we're still living with each other, and I'm like, oh, I don't like this idea of somebody in my bed snoring, or I was snoring, she wasn't. She sleeps quietly, or like taking all my sheets and stuff. Like I had a small single bed. I'm like, we need a bigger bed, and stuff like that. I started getting annoyed and stuff. I'm like, oh, love, you have to work towards it, like whatever, like, stuff like that. And there's times where I'm like, oh, maybe I made the wrong decision, and so on and so forth, right? And I kept on going, well, love is hard. You have to work at love, right? And stuff like that. And I was always, in mainstream media, right? You're supposed to love your wife and appreciate your wife, but you always joke about her and hide things from her that she, I don't know, like, because I swear a lot and she didn't like that. Or whatever, right? And stuff like that. And yeah, I was like, yeah, I found love, right? But you know what? We've been married for 17 years. And I felt like at around the 10-year mark, we kind of like, we had kids. 3 years after getting married, we had kids. So we're just focusing on the kids. And then, we had one kid. And 3 years later, we had another kid. 3 years later, another kid, right? And then it was hard and all this stuff. And I don't know, like, there's a lot of thoughts of like, oh, maybe I should just run, get divorced. Because, I've seen people, when times get tough, they just get divorced and run away. But I also saw people that didn't have a lot of communication. Like, they just went with their emotions and freaking out. Nobody really communicated. So then, I kind of like, my wife and I, we've been married 10 years, and it felt kind of hard because now the kids are getting older, and we're different people. Like, we're different people. We're not the same people we were when we first got married, 10 years earlier. And then, like, kind of we kind of got to know each other. It's like, hey. And, I fell in love with her again. I'm like, wow, I never thought I could love you any more than I do. And she's like, oh, yeah. And yeah, we had a lot of hard times. I'm not saying it's easy. But one thing we started learning and realizing is communication. The more communication we had and just being straight up honest with each other and flow of communication and not hiding nothing. Like, there's times when she's like, I don't want you spending money at the restaurants or anything, after work, just come home or stuff like that. I'm like, okay. And then she'd be like, did you spend money on, I was like, no. But me and my buddies went out to McDonald's. I paid for everybody. stuff like that, right? And, we'll start lying. Oh, it's okay. It's a little white lie. It's okay to tell a white lie, right? And there wasn't that communication, that open flow. And, I got caught in lies because I'm not a good liar. Stuff like that. But I don't know. As the years went on, I remember there's like points where it felt like we can choose to be together or not. And I just felt pulled back. Like, I need to be with this person. I need to be with this person. And it's my wife that started reading Dr. Joe Dispenza and Michael A. Singer, called The Untethered Soul and the Surrender Experiment and stuff like that. And then we, I don't know, we were thinking, like, we left, like, the religion we were in together. She left first, and then I left after. Like, meaning, like, the organized religion part, we just walked away from all that. And kind of, like, bonded to each other even more. And then there was no more, like, I don't know. It's like, I don't know, something was moved. And we're just started communicating better and talking better. And there's things like, she's like, I want to go check out, this festival called Om, or I want to check out this, festival and this. And I was like, just so annoyed with it. Like, why? Why do you want to go do this stuff? Let's just be together and stop trying to, like, chase out all the, like, the life we never had, I guess, like going to all these different events and stuff. But we grew up and our life was our religion. So we wanted to find ourselves, and she wanted to find herself. Anyway, so it was funny because, like, I'd be like, I don't think we should go to these events, dirty hippies, stuff like that. But then when we went, somehow we, like, bonded more with each other and stuff like that. And, like, it's hard to explain, but we find that the key to success in our marriage, and we've been married 17 years now, is that we decided to have open communication before it was too late. And just started talking about everything and just being completely open with each other. And then it just helped us have this bond and this love. And, like, you heard me talk about other episodes earlier in this season, episode 1 and 2. I was doing that 10-day meditation retreat, and I just wanted to just be, in my wife's arms and stuff and just be with her. And our love is so strong and so amazing. And yeah, we have hard times. We fight, we bicker, like every married couple. Sorry, I'm going to cough here. Sorry about that. I forgot to bring a bottle of water. And I felt like the universe being like, hey, don't forget your bottle of water. I'm like, I'm too lazy to go back out in the warehouse to get some water. I'm going to do the podcast. I could work through this. Yeah, well, the universe was telling me what I need to do. But yeah, it's just amazing to me that, like, the moment I gave up and stopped chasing and just let things happen and just went with the flow before I even knew what that meant, just trusted the universe and the guidance of love and this world. And I really feel like, as I do, like, meditations and stuff like that, like, I feel such an amazing connection with my wife. And, like, I couldn't have made a better decision or found somebody better. And, people say, well, you could learn to love anybody, blah, blah, blah. I believe beyond a shadow of a doubt that, my wife somehow figured out how to, with quantum physics or all the different, realities happening at once, like we learned in the movies, right? All the different universes, all parallel universes with each other that have slight little differences. And that she found a way to jump over and be like, hey, out of all the different, parallel universes, the one where we were the most successful is when we were together. And then she made it happen. Yeah, teach me. So her higher self came and visited me at a younger age and just like, hey, this is what's going to happen. Don't worry, buddy. Needless to say, I never moved out west. But yeah, there's something to it. And I do get a lot of requests and people talking to me about, like, talk about love or talk about the different parallel universes, or talk about, dreams. What do dreams mean? Do dreams mean anything? Stuff like that. But, in the end, I say this all the time, but it's so true. In the end, it's about your personal beliefs, and you are creating your personal reality. So for me, what needed to happen, happened, and I believe, right, and nobody can tell me otherwise. And, that my wife's higher self found a way to communicate with me, and I was like, okay. Maybe our higher selves are still together, hanging out. I don't know. But, it doesn't matter if it's what's real or what's not real, in a sense. Well, Mike, prove to me that there's different parallel universes. Go to this parallel universe and talk to me, or do this, or do that. Go to the future, go to the past, blah, 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 right? But who cares who's right and wrong in the end? Who cares which religion's right, or which religion people believe, which one's right, which one's wrong, or this is right, this is wrong? It doesn't matter. If you believe it's right for you. If you don't believe it's right, it's not right for you. And even some people are like, oh, well, you were in religion, Mike, and you left religion. You must have seen miracles and stuff. I said, yes, I did see a lot of miracles, and I performed miracles, or, and all that. But it doesn't, it was right for me at the time, for my flow of my projection, and for mine, and for me, my life. But now I felt like since I left, for me, I'm not telling people to leave religion. I didn't even want to talk about this at all, but I just came out, just trusting the flow. But for me, it felt like I reached the information a lot in that religion that I was in, and that in order to expand, I need to move on. And the knowledge I thought I knew everything then to now, it's like, a lot different. I know a lot more stuff, and I have a lot more information and experiences in this world, and it's just So it doesn't matter, right? Who's right, who's wrong, or this is real, this is not, blah, blah, blah. It's what matters is if you believe it, then it is real for you. Because I'm telling you. And for those who listen to me are not newish to the law of attraction or to things I'm talking about, you'll understand. But reality is what you make it. That's all there is. And in this reality, this is the only reality where we are right now. And I'm telling you, once again, this is the only reality where we are right now, where you can turn thought into a physical object. But we limit ourselves. And people are like, what? You think I could make a cheesecake appear in my hand? Hey, man. Just like the movie The Matrix, right? Stop limiting yourself. Stop, whatever. If you want to see the real world, you got to decide what the real world is for you. Is it numbers like in The Matrix? Is The Matrix telling us something? Is The Matrix a movie that my higher self put together to show me, to explain to me things? Because every time I watch certain movies, I'm like, there's something to this. I feel like there's a message for me. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. But it doesn't really matter. Because in the end, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And I choose to live the law of attraction, to live the law of the universe and feel the different frequencies, and to just trust the process, because that's what's working for me. That's what's getting me through everything. And stuff like that. There's so many times in my life. And if you think about it, I just told you the story of my love, right? Finding my everlasting love, and how amazing and connected we feel, and that it's all about communication, okay? Communication. Okay? I'm telling you now, open communication works for us. It worked amazingly. Even to this day, I'm like, I think we reached the pinnacle of love. I can't love you anymore. And then something happens, and then we're together, and I'm like, I love you even more. Right? Different experiences in life or whatever, right? But just talk, right? If you feel like, hey, this is something, an idea, this is stuff, just have open communication with your partner. Okay? Because there's so many times I watch movies, TV shows, I've seen it in real life, where no one's having open, true communication. They end up just getting divorced. Everybody just gets divorced. It's so easy. Oh, it's so easy. Hey, I'm walking away. I'm done. You don't want to listen to me? You don't want to do what I want? I'm out, right? Just open communication, and you'll find and just love and just be happier. And if you find that you're in a relationship and you're like with open communication and everything, and you're still like, maybe, whatever, you got to do what you got to do. But for me, this is my world and my life, and then it's working for me very well. And if you think about it, okay, so my friend who was dating that girl in Toronto, and he's in Montreal, she randomly heard from, hey, I have a friend, talk to him and ask him for this guy's, back then MSN number or email address or whatever, so you guys can talk on MSN, right, or AOL and all that stuff, right? And then she did it, and then, it was the faithful moment of her coming to visit him, and she had an uncle, I guess, in Montreal, and she's like told her younger sister to come with me, please, and there was like a second where she wasn't going, but she just like, whatever, I'll just go, whatever. And then we met, and then we didn't connect or nothing, but all those little things, like nudges of the universe that, my buddy's like, hey, remember the time? And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever, let's do this. Because if I said no, then no, it was over. And then that little nudge of like coming back a day early and stuff like that, like, it's amazing how the universe orchestrated the whole thing for us to be together. And it was all because I gave up and just like, whatever. I'll let love come to me. I'll stop running after it, because every time I run after it, it runs away, and I think I know what love is, and I'm not, and blah, 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 right? So yes, it's not hard to find love. Trust and open your heart, but first you got to love yourself. You have to love the world. You have to love people and your friends that are around you. You got to love everybody and just see how amazing this world is, and just have that love in your heart, and just let your heart open with love and just explode with love. And I know it's hard. Sometimes you meet some people that are like, that person doesn't deserve my love. I give you hate, right? But just just open your heart, love, and find the frequency of love. And then I'm telling you, the universe will just work its magic. And before you know it, you'll be like, oh, this is what love is. And then you go through and be married for 17 years plus and still falling in love and be like, I don't understand how I could love somebody even more and more, right? And just opening your heart and letting it just fill with love and joy and compassion, and how amazing this world can be with that. It's simple. Like, I never thought it'd be this simple to manifest and to create whatever you want. Like, it's crazy. Like, I couldn't do all this stuff. I'm not that lucky, right? Where I can have all this stuff happen, where I can pick the right stocks at the right time, and just felt a little small voice, a little nudge. Hey, look at the stocks. Hey, type this into the search bar in Google. Oh, look for this. And hey, be here at this time and stuff like that. And then whatever, right? And just start meeting people and like, hey, this is a business that you got to do, and just do it this way. And then I set it up, and then you just got to trust. And stop trying to control love. Stop trying to control money. Stop trying to control everything, and just let it happen. And trust that your higher self, that God or the universe, Mother Earth, whatever you want to call it, is going to guide you, and you're going to feel it. And just follow the flow of the universe of love and of life. And everything of your wildest dreams will come your way. And you can think of it, put it out there, and boom, you'll create it. I'm telling you, this world is a world where you can create from a thought and manifest it into a physical thing and bring things to you. It's all up to you how you want to do it. Do you want to have a hard life? Do you want to believe everything you're told? How hard life is, how hard it is to find love, how hard, and you have to give up sacrifice. Like you heard in my last episode, you got to sacrifice all this stuff if you want things. But I don't believe any of that crap. I don't believe you have to give up and sacrifice all this stuff to get what you want. I don't believe I have to give up, my amazing marriage with my wife in order to have abundance. Or I don't believe I have to give up abundance to have this life. I don't believe any of that. I believe I can have it all, and everybody deserves to have it all that they want. You could have a hard life and easy life. It's all up to you. I know it sounds crazy. I thought it was crazy when I first heard all this stuff, but put it to the test. Put it to the practice. Test it. Put it out there. Push it. Test it, man. Nothing you could do. Like, all I can say is do an experiment like I did. Find your experiment. Find the way where you can hack this world and hack it. And make your world so much more better. Because I got so much amazing stories coming your way about all sorts of amazing people and stuff that are coming across. And who knows? But yeah, here's a little tidbit. So we sold our house back in 2018, 2017 to start traveling. Like you heard in a lot of my episodes where we were going to travel to the U.S., live in Florida for 6 months. We had a trailer and a truck and we pull it around and stuff, and live in Canada for 6 months. And, that was our plan, and it was working great. And then, 2020 happened. We came back to Canada, and then we weren't allowed to leave Canada for 2 years because our government's crazy. I don't know. But anyways, I don't want to say anything and get in trouble. Oh, I hear a knock at the door. They're here to get me. But anyways, so now we're like, well, maybe we should get a house. And I was like pushing, we should get a house in Florida. We should get a house in Florida. We should get a house in Florida. But I was like, I'm done pushing. I'm done chasing. I was like, if it's meant to be, we're going to manifest a house. We'll manifest the money for the house. We'll get the right contracts. We'll win the lottery. I don't know what we'll do. But as self-employed individual in Ontario, Canada, it's hard to get a mortgage. And if you do, you're paying like a higher interest rate, like 8 to 10% interest rate. And houses are stupid in Ontario in the sense where they're worth $400,000. They're selling for like $900,000 to $1 million because that's the market states, right? But it's slowing down anyways. But anyways, it's ridiculous. I was like, whatever, we'll just manifest that. We'll get the right place. We'll be able to get the mortgage. We'll be able to whatever. I'll just manifest it and go let the universe do its thing. I'm going to set it and forget it like I preach to everybody and I tell everybody. And yeah, it works. I'll probably talk about that on the next episode. But I just want you to know you are not alone in this world. There's a lot of people out there in this world, in this universe, that are just like you and me, right? But just know that life doesn't have to be as hard as you think it should because of all the pre-programming. It's enjoy life, love life, choose your reality, make your reality a reality, and just put it out there and create and create and create. And I'll talk a lot more about that in this season. And I'm going to be getting as more people saying, I'm letting my crazy out. Who let the dogs out? But yeah, we're going to bring in a lot more people to interview, a lot more people to talk to and stuff like that. And just hopefully things will work. And, send me a quick email. Let me know. Say, hey, here's my story. Share it. And I'll be more than happy to do that. Once again, you can reach me at lifechangersmike@gmail.com. That's all one word. Lifechangers with an S, Mike. At lifechangers@gmail.com. So that's lifechangersmike@gmail.com. And tell me if there's anything you want me to talk about. Tell me tell me your situation and what you're struggling with. I'm more than happy to turn it into an episode. And I'll email you back and let you know and send you the link for the episode when it comes about, stuff like that. I'm more than happy to do all that stuff. I'm checking the emails daily because we're getting more and more traction. So let's just motivate. I'm here to motivate and help you. That's all I'm doing. I'm telling my stories in the meantime on situations as I'm going through and learning things and as I'm manifesting things and how I do it. But I'm here to motivate you and help you create what you want to create and help you achieve your wildest dreams. Just know that you're important, you're loved. And I do love everybody. Thank you very much for listening. And once again, this is Mike with Life Changers.